Look at this! Yes! Combination hookah and coffee maker. Also makes julienne fries. Will not break. It broke. You know what that's from, right? Well, you might find more familiar ties to the classic if you check out the new Netflix animated movie Wish Dragon. A working-class college student with big dreams but small means finds a cynical but all-powerful dragon capable of granting wishes. They set off on an adventure through modern-day Shanghai in pursuit of a long-lost childhood friend. Their journey forces them to answer some of life's biggest questions, because when you can wish for anything, you have to decide what really matters. So yeah, let's get this out of the way right up front. There is a lot in this story that borrows from Disney's Aladdin with Robin Williams. The storyline really mirrors Aladdin and Jasmine as we watch Din and Lena interact. The director of Wish Dragon stated that he used Aladdin as his inspiration and then added Chinese culture to it. Luckily, even though a lot is shared, the story does veer off and has a life of its own. Din and Lena are childhood friends, but drift apart when Lena's dad has to move them away for his business. The story picks up when they're both college age, but on very different paths. Din is more of a peasant, while Lena, she's a princess. The animation is wonderful in this. The characters and settings, they all have a good depth to them, as well as great textures. And this is also a really funny movie. If you're watching closely, you'll see plays on words with signs and buildings. There's also just a lot of snark that comes into play. Some of it is subtle, and other times it's pretty blatant. The beginning of the story had a bit of a Shazam feel to it, and that's not a knock either because I loved that movie. I mean, it is brief, but I did get those vibes as that scene played out. And like the title suggests, there is a wish dragon here. Think Genie from Aladdin, but in this case, it's a long, furry pink dragon. It's kind of like a luck dragon, just less creepy. John Cho plays the dragon named Long. He's great as he delivers the right amount of sarcasm and wit. There's wisdom that's also imparted during this, and really some emotionally poignant portions as well. He grants wishes, but there's a lot more to him that we slowly get to discover. The thing that's going to satisfy the littles, aside from the animation, is the slapstick comedy that takes place. And it's not just going to satisfy the youngins, I think. I loved watching the action take place, and I really enjoyed when a character would just have all of this calamity placed on them. I thought the action was really pleasing as well. There's a character who fights only using his feet, and it's pretty impressive, and also a great gimmick. It's fun to watch this dude with his hands in his pockets, and he's kicking butt with poise and gracefulness. All in a suit, too. There's also two henchmen that are solely there for comedic relief, and I think they did it well. They're not menacing, even though at first they appear to be, and their antics are designed to make us see their soft sides and then also make us chuckle. The themes surrounding wishes aren't necessarily unique either. You know they'll always point back to when is enough enough, and is it stuff or status that make you feel fulfilled? I really like the take on Long the Dragon. We have some backstory on him that's surprisingly deep and emotionally resounding. Now, it's not a long or drawn out sequence when we get this exposition, but it is concise and powerful. I really think the main complaint for this whole movie is going to be that it's so similar to Aladdin. And I had that same complaint as I began to watch. But as the story progressed and it began to follow its own path, I paid less attention to the similarities and I started noticing the nuances of where it stood on its own. The struggles with family and expectations are really relatable, and while they can be complex, they're also presented in a way that's easy to understand so that most ages are going to get some meaning from the point of the story. And I like that we watch both Din and Lena experience their own sides of family expectations, which show that status or wealth doesn't change how people think you should act or pursue your goals. Now, the runtime is 98 minutes, and it's right in that sweet spot for an animated story. I mean, it's long enough to feel like we've watched something, but also not so long that the kiddos are going to get bored. I had a lot of fun with this. I think if you know about the similarities to Aladdin and how the director used it as just a direct inspiration, you might be able to look past the things that are the same and then enjoy the differences. The story is fun and engaging, even if some pieces may feel a bit rushed in parts. The animation is beautiful, and it's got enough comedy, I think, to keep everybody smiling. There's no sex or nudity or profanity, but there is violence, but without blood or gore. I give Wish Dragon 3.5 out of 5 couches. Are there any great animated movies or shows that you've watched lately? And I know some of you are going to say, watch Invincible. I'm in the process of watching that just in between other things on my review schedule. But I'd love to know what other animated things you've seen lately that are worthwhile. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.